you like me to call the roll?
I was just going to ask you to do that,
Okay.
Mr. Secretary.
Okay, calling the roll for the meeting. Chairman Carney,
Present.
Member Fernandez Ketchum, Member Freed,
Present.
Member Sue, Member Shaw,
Here.
thank you. Member Zarita.
I am here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right, we've done business, which is significant because this is probably our most important meeting of the year. It's what we do. I want to talk a bit about some of the things that transpired during the public hearings. But before we do that, I'd like to ask for vote to approve the minutes of the May 3rd meeting. Thank you. You do a second.
Second.
Thanks. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
I was going to. Are there any opposed?
No, one extension on it, I can't say.
Did you have a chance to review the video of the meeting, Arlene?
No, I did not.
We've had this issue a few times. If a member doesn't make it to the meeting, we need you to watch the video of the meeting and be able to vote on the minutes. We've had this issue a few times now, so if you're not at the meeting, you understand that you gotta watch the video. And if you watch the video, you should be able to vote on the minutes. If you need to abstain, it's okay to go forward. This issue has happened a few times, we don't expect to see it again.
Okay.
I confess, Omar, I didn't know that there was.
Yeah, I didn't know there was
videos of the
video.
meeting.
Yeah, we sent the videos around. We videotaped every meeting since 2007.
Okay, in that case, Mr. Chairman, I think we'll have to lay over the approval of, since Ms. Shaw is abstaining.
Yes.
No, that's fine, I'll vote aye. Are you guys comfortable with the way that the
Yes.
edited? Okay,
Sure.
fine, I'll vote aye.
Okay.
No problem.
It's a done deal. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your trust.
I trust you. We've been at this a long
Yeah,
time.
Listen, we all spent a number of evenings in the past month attending public hearings to listen to ratepayers offer their points of view on the proposed rate. We did that in an effort to be clear with ratepayers that we were listening to. We didn't get a big turnout across the board, all five boroughs. I was able to attend two of them, and there was one speaker in each of those borough hearings. Others came to the other borough hearings. And staff was there pretty much for every evening. Thank you all very much. And giving a presentation, which we're going to capsule in a minute. I'd like to have a discussion now about the results of those hearings. If we could do that. And I'll start it if you'd like, but it doesn't matter. The same comment made in each of the two public hearings, made, almost eloquently in the Manhattan hearing, and made less so, but with great enthusiasm in the Bronx hearing. The net of those two discussions, 5 minutes of testimony, was that the proposed rate increase is clearly being driven by the decision of the administration to request the rate payment. It's clear that the administration has the right to do that under contract. There's no issue. And when they request it, we pay. And we don't gripe about it. But it doesn't happen every year. There have been years where the city did not require that we make the rental payment. Maybe in some portion, not the entire rental payment. The number is like $149 million for half fiscal year and 290 some odd million for an entire fiscal year. As all of you in this room know, the city has requested that we pay 1/2 of the rental payments for fiscal '24 and all of the rental payment for fiscal '25. And we're planning to do it, which explains why the rate was proposed at 8.5%. I don't feel good about it, but it's what we have to do. It's a contract. So that's all I have to say. The other two members here. Arlene, were you at the meeting in Brooklyn?
I went through the transcript of the meeting. I did not attend. I wish that, I would just publicly like to say that I wish that more people from the public came out and spoke and attended the meetings. I've been here for a very long time. There was a point where people would actually come out. And I think years and years of low rate hikes has, led to a situation where you don't have people coming out because they were 2, 3, 4%. But,
Zero.
Yeah, there was 0 1 year. So, I really just encourage more of the public to kind of come out and attend the hearings.
Yeah, I'd love for us to think as a board and as with staff on ways that we can increase that turnout and thinking about, I know you've raised the idea about some online capabilities for it. It is a challenge that we see, and I think in addition to the testimonies, I was at Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens. In addition, and I read through the testimony that was submitted in writing and transcripts to the issue around the rental payment, which is 3.5% of the rate increase that we're looking at today, and I thought there was some eloquent testimony on that. I'll also get back on my soapbox on the thing I talk about every year as well. I thought NRDC and some of the other people testified did a really good job of continuing to push for a separate stormwater charge, and I'm excited for the sustainable rate analysis study that's going on and the work with DEP and staff on that. Continue to encourage us to delve deeper into that, particularly as we see more and more increased rainfall and extreme storms, finding ways to ensure that DEP and the city have the resources to pay for the infrastructure upgrades that are needed and to align incentives to encourage different types of behavior and interventions in the built environment to give property owners and ratepayers the ability to better manage their expenses and offset the damage that may be done in the situations that are exacerbating the risks to the system in the city from stormwater. So I look forward over the next year of leaning into that with you guys and particularly calling out Albert and the work that DEP's done to upgrade the customer service and billing system so that we can have much more flexibility and a more dynamic rate structure. So it is complicated, but the time is coming.
I was pleased to be able to attend 2 of the hearings. Of course, in my home borough of Staten Island, and thank you to GK for taking the trek out to the JNC with me for that meeting. And I was able to be here at the Manhattan hearing. I think that I agree with everything that's been said here. It's nothing really earth-shattering, I think, from what I'm about to say. The continuing theme that I hear from members of the public is, it's like, electricity rates are going up, gas rates are going up, my rent's going up, everything's just going up, and there's just an affordability challenge in this city that's driven by lots of things, and this is just one of them. And it's just a continuing theme, I think, around affordability in the city, and that came through loud and clear. The more specific comments around, continuing to think about stormwater charges, continuing to think about how the system operates. There weren't a lot of members of the public, unfortunately. I wish we had more. I wish we had more testimony to go through. I do think it's important that we think through different tools and different techniques for getting comment on this. But this has been, I think, a trend in the last couple of years that we've had even when we did phone conferences during the COVID years, we didn't get a ton. And so I don't know how to overcome that. And if, New York, we need New Yorkers who care about this as much as we care about this, or at least close to maybe what we care about this. But otherwise, I think it's, I commend the staff and the department for getting out and doing all those public hearings. I think it's really important that we, fly the flag and go here and set up those moments for the public to provide that commentary. Hopefully we can find some other tools to get more people out. But I think you guys did a great job through this season of getting all those meetings out and getting all that feedback in that we did get. So thank you for that.
Agreed, thank you.
Yeah, one thing I love, I guess, I've been on the board for 10 years, almost now. Yeah, and every year we do have the similar conversation where I say, stormwater fee, we'd love to make sure that we can have that conversation. I know it's complicated, at least see a proposal, be engaged in that. For a long time it was the billing system, and having worked in Detroit where we rolled out an impervious area charge for the billing system that was antiquated and not up to date, it caused a number of problems and delays. So it is complex. You guys have solved that. Then we talked about the sustainable stormwater analysis and rate study, which I attended those and public capacity and part of the public comment period for that, and that all posted online. So any member who's watching this on video, I'd urge you to go take a look at that. I'd love maybe if we could take 2 minutes just to, if there's, understand where we are as we lead into next year, and if there's a challenge with how we can advance that so that next year as we're sitting here we can potentially be voting on a different charge, or at least make sure we're significantly advancing it. I don't know if it's an opportunity to hear from the staff or others on that before we go forward.
Sorry, so specifically,
What's standing in the way of advancing the conversation on a separate stormwater fee? And a lot of the pieces are now in place or have been built upon, so just understanding if there are other obstacles or actions we as a board need to take to support staff in advancing that.
so look, as part of the sustainable rate analysis, we've certainly been exploring the idea of a stormwater charge very, very seriously. I think there's kind of 3 levels of analysis. One, as you point out, is kind of just the practicality of implementing it. And I agree, while it would be a heavy lift for DEP to do, probably requires a 2-year phase-in of some sort, but I am certainly convinced that between the billing system, the changes, as you point out, that Albert has been leading at Bureau of Customer Service, and frankly, one of the big areas of innovation is kind of a availability of low-cost satellite imagery combined with the ability of machine learning to, on a really granular, frequent level, to identify permeable versus impermeable surfaces, right? And so that's been a focus of the sustainable rate study. So I think I am convinced that there's not a feasibility challenge. The sustainable rate study, which we are nearing completion with, and will come out this year, will address the question of whether it's desirable from a policy point of view. There are, of course, issues that we have to explore around equity, making sure that it isn't just a transfer of costs from one group of New Yorkers to another, making sure that we can craft a stormwater rate that is not a tax on land, but rather is in fact a charge on impermeability, right? And so if we can do that, then there is, I think, a reasonable case. Then there is actually the legal question of how would we get it done. And right now, the advice that I have received from our legal counsel and from the water department is that neither DEP nor the water board actually has the authority to implement a stormwater charge. That is because stormwater is not explicitly listed as a type of water that the water board is empowered to manage.
Which means that we have to revise an empowering statute, we have to.
Yes, this is under state law, the authorizing statute that allows us all to do what we do.
Yes.
Does not, it lists drinking water, it lists sewage, it even lists groundwater. It does not list stormwater. Under case law, our ability to invest in stormwater management is based on case law that depends on the fact that because we are mostly a combined system, the stormwater infrastructure is also the sewage infrastructure, right? However, again, our lawyers are telling us that does not allow us then to charge separately for a type of water that we are only, at least in theory, managing kind of by happenstance or as an error. There was a bill, actually this year, that passed the state senate. It did not come up for a hearing in the assembly. We were tracking it closely, although the administration did not weigh in on it. Several upstate water utilities weighed in favor of this, and it would have inserted stormwater across the board in all of the utilities around the state that are authorized by state statute. But as I say, since that did not pass, we currently do not believe that we have the authority to do it. So we will come out with a sustainable rate study, and again, that will address kind of how and whether it's a good idea that there is this remaining kernel at the state level.
Well, that may be something interesting to get a further briefing on and see if there's a letter of support or other things that water board can do to urge passage of that, or reintroduction and then passage for next year is I think that is something.
It's a good idea.
Urgently important for the system to have that flexibility and just to understand where we can be supportive of that.
Or to have somebody say no.
Yeah, or to have someone say no and hopefully have a reason on why that is the case. Thank you, that's very important. With that, and I'm sorry.
Arlene, were you going to?
No.
Okay.
You know, Mr. Chair, you know, one of the things that you do always do a great job of explicitly kicking off every hearing, saying we're here to listen, and we have not made up our minds, and we read through the testimony and take it seriously, and that is something we absolutely do, and
Well, we must do it.
we must do.
We're not allowed to get together.
Um,
except in public.
So one thing I would love to do and is to introduce a non-binding resolution reflecting some of our opinions of what we heard in the testimony and stating kind of as a unified voice, reflecting particularly on the rental payment, our feelings of that. And we'd love to introduce that for the board members to vote on before we begin with the adoption of the budget and the rate structure.
Let's do it now.
So if I may read it, and I have copies as well for folks. Whereas under the lease agreement entered between the board and the city on July 1st, 1985, the city can request an annual rental payment from the board that cannot exceed the greater of 1, the current year's principal and interest on general obligation bonds issued by the city for water and sewer purposes prior to 1984, or 2, 15% of the current year's debt service on New York City Water Finance Authority bonds, and whereas all the debt service and GEO bonds issued prior to 1984 for the system has been paid off, and whereas after several years forgoing the rental payment, the city has requested a rental payment from the board of $145 million in FY 2024 and anticipates requesting $289 million in FY 2025, and additional payments estimated to be between $300 and $400 million annually in subsequent years. And whereas this request has a direct impact on water rates, representing a 3.5% increase in the FY 2024 water rates proposed by New York City Department of Environmental Protection, and will have an even higher impact on future years' water rates. And whereas the board has a legal and fiduciary obligation to make the rental payment if requested by the city, and whereas New York City's water and sewer system faces unprecedented challenges from climate change and requires significant capital investment to manage increasing rainfall and reduce flooding, and whereas future rental payments could limit the board's ability to raise capital to fund critical needs of the water system, including stormwater and coastal resilience, and whereas the city has adopted climate budgeting to incorporate science-based climate considerations into its budget decision-making process by evaluating how current actions and spending contribute to meeting the long-term climate targets and needs of the city, it is therefore resolved that the board believes that the request of the rental payment does not adhere to the principles of climate budgeting and the stated climate goals of the city, and be it further resolved that the board urges the city not to request a rental payment from the board in FY 2024 nor in future years, and be it further resolved that absent this forbearance, The board strongly encourages that the rental payment be dedicated to stormwater and coastal resilience, which benefits ratepayers and the system, is in line with the stated goals of Plan YC and the city's climate budgeting, and provides a clear nexus between the rental payment and the well-being of the water and sewer systems.
Thank you very much.
Well said.
Yeah, I agree. There you go.
Listen, it's up to us to decide whether or not whether we want to do this. I think everybody who is here today has been on at least one call to talk about it. I'm ready to vote it.
Do that.
Okay.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Please, could I make a minor correction?
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 4, whereas.
Okay.
I think the second line is FY 2025.
FY 20.
25. The increases for the next.
Yes, but that's.
Okay, yes. So noted.
And in that same whereas, I think the calculation is that it's 3.1%. The rental payment is adding 3.1%.
As of, for the 8.5%.
Yeah.
One thing I'd say is that it's a clause, numeral, your Roman numeral 1, the first part of the OR test, I don't believe it's restricted to pre-1984. There may be none outstanding, but I don't believe it's restricted to pre-1984.
That I took directly from DEP material, so.
Yeah. I think that's
It's not what the lease says.
Here's what we do. Let's decide whether we're going to vote it. And if it has to be corrected, I'll give it.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
We can adopt, or we can recognize this resolution subject to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
amendment.
Yeah.
And
Is
just certainly,
the prior to 1984 an important part of the purpose?
why don't we adopt and we can go back and make an edit,
Yes.
if we need to.
For the record.
Yeah.
Do you want to review the lease before voting?
Yes.
No, I think
Yeah.
we're okay.
We'll fix it.
Everything is subject to any revision that needs to be made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Corrected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
May I have a motion, please, to approve the non-binding resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Arlen. Is there a second?
Second.
Outstanding. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? There being none, the resolution, the board has approved the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Pleasure was mine. Thank you. We're going on to the agenda. It is essentially number 3 on the agenda, the adoption of the fiscal year 2025 annual budget. Is there a presentation on it?
Mr. Chair, and only you want to put the slide up. We do have, yes, the a summarization. This is in the board package. This was in the material that we shared with the public during the hearings and in the previous. So these are the approved budgets for fiscal year 2025 that will, feed into the need for the 8.5% rate increase. So this is inclusive of the rental payment as well.
Okay, are there any questions?
This didn't change from everything we showed in the public hearings. This is the same.
There might have been some minor edits, but those are based on, budgetary changes that happen through this, and it happens during the course of the entirety of the process there, but it's, we would be, put additional updates if they come through to P4, but they don't have to be approved by the board in a sense, because unless it was significant. But it's based on the executive budget that was, put forth by the mayor.
Does that give anybody concern?
Well, if we approve a budget, I would assume that that's the approved budget.
We're about to.
And it's right.
Yeah.
And then if they're changing it for that, they should be notified back to the board.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions here? There being none, may I have a motion, please, to approve to adopt the fiscal year 2025 annual budget?
So moved.
Thank you, Adam. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dan. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Are there any objections? Then I think the adoption of fiscal year 2025 annual budget. We're going on now to what is the fourth item on the agenda. The adoption of the rate schedule effective July 1st, 2024. Do you want to talk about this?
I would assume that the resolution.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
Kind of says everything you have to say.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I've voted for it and supported it because I think it said all the right things. And we would urge the city to reconsider its rental payment, but all the things we've said before is we have the right to, and we have the obligation, and we don't have the ability to say, pay this, or pay that. And so that bill comes in, and we don't have a budget or rates that reflect it, then we're just starting to close. And that's a problem.
That is wrong.
So
Right, that
I
primary-
will refer back to the
Yes.
non-binding resolution.
Okay.
Our primary goal is to make sure that the water system operates efficiently and is sufficiently funded, so whether we like it or not, this is part of what we have to do.
In fact, it's our primary goal.
It is our
It is.
legal responsibility.
All right. The resolution proposes the adoption of the rate schedule effective July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second that.
Thank you, Evan. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the rate schedule is approved. The adoption of wholesale rates effective July 1st, 2024. Is in resolution number 5.
And just to clarify for the board, this was part of the package. We did have the upstate hearing, and that was the 1.2% at our upstate rates.
Are there any questions?
No.
Hearing none, may I have a motion please to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Adam. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Dan. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So we have adopted the wholesale rate schedule effective July 1st of 2024. There is a resolution, forgive me, I haven't seen it. It proposes the appointment of the board's executive director. Sure, it went around somewhere.
In the packet. It's right there, it's that one. It's that one. You just passed it, it's that one out.
Got it. Commissioner, thank you.
This is where we thank Joe for his service.
I know. The answer is no. I'm
Tapped
gonna
in our-
vote in favor, but I'm a no on that.
You say you're annoyed.
You don't know. Pushes it out.
I said no.
It's like a subway commander or nuclear
Right.
sub. We both have to turn the key.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I read it. I just passed the muster of the team. Are there any questions about it?
I have no questions. I would just, in addition to thanking Joe and for his service and partnership and the work, also just express my excitement at having Narissa join to lead this effort. I've known her in a variety of capacities for a number of years and always been incredibly impressed with her knowledge, her diligence, her commitment to kind of improving the world and public service and driving innovation. So I'm very excited to deepen that partnership over the next few years and see where you can take this board and I personally stand ready to assist in any way we can, and I'm very excited to see where we can go forward. So, I want to welcome you, assuming the resolution passes.
I was just going to say, shouldn't we pass the resolution?
Try to urge in case there's anyone on the fence.
For sure, I know that her check to you is in the mail.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if, by your leave, I just wanted to say, first of all, of course, I want to express my gratitude to Joe and his well-earned retirement. But I also want to just provide a little bit of context, of course, on this appointment. So this appointment is continuing the tradition that we've had with Joe Murin in this role. Upon Joe's retirement in 28th, Narissa will be succeeding him as Chief Financial Officer for the agency. I could not be more excited. As sad as I am to lose Joe, I could not be more excited about having Narissa in that role. She's going to be spectacular. She has led so much of what we have accomplished over the last 2.5 years in terms of improving our procurement and getting our commitment rates up to, in the previous fiscal year, over 100%. Knock on wood, we're still going to be close this year. Again, I've had the privilege not only of working with her here, but working with her in our previous roles at Sidewalk Labs. I have never seen a better change manager in action. And I think she's going to be spectacular in both roles as CFO and as an executive. So I do urge you to approve this appointment.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. But have we voted for it?
Not yet.
Phone votes. Yeah.
Why don't we vote on the resolution? You've seen it, now I've seen the resolution itself. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye. Enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I'm very sad that Joe is leaving us. As the elder
With the caveat.
statesman on this board, I'm so
No,
happy
no,
to have you. But
I encourage more.
Right, as the elder
recognition of
statesman
Joe
on
in
the
this
board,
conversation.
being the longest running person on this board, I want to say thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to serve with you. It's been such a pleasure
Thank
to get to know you personally, to understand your commitment to the city. And not too often, I strongly encourage young people to join city agencies because New York City is such an amazing, robust place with such a complicated infrastructure. And, you know, I'm always in awe of people who have spent their life dedicated to city service. So as the elder statesman, I'd like to say thank you.
And I want to thank you, Arlene, Dan, Adam, you particularly, Mr. Chair. You have been, an outstanding leader on this board as long as I've been here, and for years before that too. It's been a pleasure working with you, and with Terry as well, and the previous commissioners and previous chairs as well. And I think, the organization is going to be in well hands with Narissa there. We've been working very closely, good transition. And, I think the team is going to be stronger, and as I've built on the success of others, I think she's going to build on the success of others as well. And I think you'll find her a good partner as she, works with Omar and the rest of the team as well going forward. So, thank you.
Cheers to a well-deserved retirement.
And we look forward to seeing at the public hearings when we have them next.
He'll be upstate.
Yeah.
I want to try to get that first pension check.
Yeah.
Take out his tinfoil hat.
After this introduction, Norris, I'm really looking forward to getting to know you.
Absolutely.
We've only had a few occasions to sit and talk together, one or two actually. But following in Joe's footsteps, it means that you got some good shoes to fill. And I wish you all the luck in the world. Joseph, it's been a pleasure. This is your last.
And I will see you in the future.
All right. Then you won't say it's the last evening. We have one more resolution. It's the approval of the audit contract with Grant Thornton for the audit of fiscal years 24, 25, 26, and 27.
I'll just note, we had a terrific discussion and a presentation on the joint audit committee between the Water Authority and the Water Board where this was presented to us. We had an opportunity to walk through the credentials and kind of the approach that the Grant Authority would be taking on this. Very impressed with them and their competence on them. We've worked with them before and seeing the quality of their work. One thing I will note apropos of this conversation is they laid out all the different elements that they look at. The rental payment was mentioned in that, and we did specifically call out that we would love to make sure that when they come back and present the results for us, they have taken a look at the calculations used by the city to calculate the rental payment and just provide us with additional information on that. Not that we think there's any reason to look at that or that may be incorrect, but just given the environment we're in, making sure that we can include that in everything else that we're looking at. But I was incredibly impressed with that was obviously the conversation. So ready to vote for the resolution when it comes. Just wanted to give the feedback we had. I don't know if there's anything else that came up in the meeting you'd like to call out.
That's always a good meeting, the joint audit committee meeting. 3 members of this board and 3 members of the municipal audit finance board. People who are sitting and thinking hard. And we get together to make sure that that we're thinking the same way, that it makes sense, and that we're thinking correctly about it. There are staff members here who have spent time in that meeting. Excuse me. I can't imagine people who enjoy audit, but I happen to enjoy it, and I've known Grant Thornton in other parts of my life. They're a terrific firm. Used the term that the commissioner used, and I like it. Grant Thornton helps companies to manage change, and they do a hell of a job. And I've been very profitable. I have profited a great deal by working with them. Having said all of that, I'm prepared to vote. May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, just one quick
Yes,
question.
sir.
Just so I understand, this is a 4-year contract?
Yes.
And I didn't think I saw like a not to exceed number or a cost estimate in the resolution.
There is a cost estimate and there's an increase that comes every year that was very reasonable and appropriate.
Is there a reason that's
It's in
not
the-
in the resolution?
The authority pays for the audit costs. So this is approving their appointments.
Oh, so this is not what a bar-
Out of the
It's not
board's
what a
revenue,
board
it's
budget.
essentially the
Correct.
authority that pays for the auditors.
And
And
if
we
you
did get
want to
multiple-
see that, we could get that to you.
I think it is always helpful to see.
And I would also point out Raymond Lee, who's the controller for the system, is here, so if you don't have any questions for him. But no, we'll get you the same data that we give into one
joint
committee.
audit.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that
Yeah.
you can
It
see that.
should be in the board pack.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
No further questions.
Then you won't have to pause the vote. All right.
I'll move for a vote. I'll move for a vote.
Thank you, Adam. Is there a second?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, that resolution approving the audit contract with Grant Thornton is approved. Is there any other business to come before this board?
Just one thing, I think, that I've raised this before, and I'm gonna get on the soapbox. I think it's important for the newer board members to spend some time with some of the city's assets. I know we haven't done kind of a tour or visited any of the city's critical assets since prior to the pandemic. I think understanding size and scale, I mean, obviously you're well versed, but for some of the other board members, I think it's a good way to contextualize what we're doing and just the vast and amazing work that DEP does. So I know we normally do it sort of once the fiscal year is over, so would love to read that.
Phil and his team, the authority will be arranging the investor conferences for an asset tour will be part of that. We'll make sure all members have an invitation.
Perfect.
I was going to ask about that. So I think as I was able to participate in the investor conference, I guess it was 2 years ago. Is it an every 2-year conference?
It wasn't it's going to be an every other year cycle going
I
forward.
see. Okay.
And we could also arrange for, generally we sometimes, as Arlene's point, we'll do summer tours,
Yeah.
particularly with
Yeah, we'd
OLB,
love that.
some of our colleagues are here.
Yeah.
And we could see about, including board members in on those as well.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially for some of the newer board members, just to understand what it looks like.
Yeah.
Has there been any indication from the administration as to the appointment of a new member for this board?
To be honest, given the hearing cycle and everything going on, it has not.
I didn't think so, but I thought I'd ask. And ask on the record, because we are one short. Let me say something about that before we run. We lost a very good board member. Matters that were personal to him, and he made the decision to depart. The matters we probably could have addressed better than we did as a board, but we didn't. And so he said, lovely, it's love. In fact, I've saved it. If I put it in my own resignation file.
You're not leaving.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to go anywhere.
This isn't a preamble, is it?
No, it is, but we need to make sure, to Arlene's point, that new board members understand the rhythm of this board and a little of the rhythm of DEP. We need to make sure that they get that. And you know, it took me years. I had to chase it, but I did get it. Sorry to see that member leave. Looking forward to the appointment of somebody new. It's all right. I think we are prepared to adjourn. Do I have to vote to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
May I have a motion, please, to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Arlene. We're out of here.
Yeah. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.